Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to the first episode of Moat Knowledge Series brought to you by Moat Financial Services. We are a SEBI-registered portfolio management company with an experience of over 13 years in managing our clients' wealth. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the joys of compounding, a timeless principle at the heart of long-term wealth creation. Joining us today, we have Mr. Midun James, Head of Strategy and Investments, Mr. Jyotish, Research Analyst, Mr. Nandu, AI and Data Analyst, and myself, Ben, Research Analyst at Moat Financial Services. To start off, for the uninitiated, what's compounding?
Thank you, Ben. Basically, compounding, the world famous scientist and the pioneering scientist Albert Einstein has sort of mentioned about compounding as the eighth wonder, right? So compounding is so powerful that a person of Einstein's stature has said that it's the eighth wonder. So I would like to start this conversation with a thought experiment, right? So I want all of you to imagine you have a lakh of rupees today to invest, right? You have all started your journey in investing. So you have kind of have a nest egg of a lakh to invest. So assuming you are able to invest that money by 26% return, invest that money with a return of 26%, or you're able to invest that money at a CAGR of 26%. So if you're able to compound that money at 26% for 3 years, you'll actually double your money, right? And if you're able to keep invested the same 1 lakh corpus without adding any new additional funds, still at the 10th year your 1 lakh will become 10 lakh rupees. So you make 10x in 10 years. Now fast forward to 20 years, you still have not added anything, but your 1 lakh rupees for 20 years compounded at 26% will become a staggering 1 crore. So that means it will become 20x in 20 years. Fast forward to 30 years, if you're able to compound the same 1 lakh at 26%, the only 1 lakh which you have invested at the start of your journey, that will become 10 crores, meaning 1000x. So that in essence is the power of compounding. Simply compounding is basically your money compounds more money, that money also compounds yet more money. So that is basically compounding. We would have all understood or learned basic compounding formula, right? So the basic compounding formula is P into 1 plus R the whole raised to N, right? Yes. So P is your principal amount, R is the rate of return, and N is your number of years that your money compounds. So in our example, we said when you compound the money at a 26% return rate or whatever is your CAGR rate, when you compound that money for a substantially long period of time, that snowballs into a huge, enormous corpus, right? Because N there, which is basically the number of years that you kept your money compounded, that N is basically an exponent, or which is raised to the power of N. So that's an exponent. So the more amount of time that you keep your capital invested, the more it will compound. So that in essence, I believe is the sense of compounding.
So there's a famous rule is used in compounding, the rule of 72. So could you please elaborate on what is rule of 72?
Rule of 72 is basically it's a back of the envelope calculation to find out how many doubles you will get over a period of time. So simple example is for example, you compound your wealth by 10%, right? You invest the money in a fixed deposit, you get 10% return, for example. So 72 divided by 10. So in 7.2 years, your money would double. So that is basically the essence of over 72. So you would have heard, you would have seen in the newspapers or some advertisements of debt funds saying that I will double your money safely in 10 years. So essentially what their meaning is that I will give you 7.2% of return. So that is basically the rule of 72. It's a simple back of the envelope calculation. It should help people to quickly understand how fast you can sort of double your wealth.
Could you please give some real world examples so as to we could understand more simply?
Okay. So basically what we have seen is in actual markets, so our index Nifty or Sensex would have returned over the last 15-20 year period, would have returned about 11 to 12% CAGR, right? So that's the compounded return that both Nifty and Sensex have given. This is an approximate number. Now, this is also not inclusive of the dividends which is reinvested. What we have also seen is that over a period of last 10 to 15 years, the inflation is about 3.5 to 4%, right? So the real returns, which is the return minus inflation, is about 7.5%. So meaning broadly, in 10 years, if you had invested in an index, you would have got a real return of 7.5%, meaning you would have doubled your money in 10 years. At the real terms, okay, meaning which is basically including your inflation, right? Considering the inflation also. Now, by the way, that particular return is actually better than all the other asset classes put together over a long period of time. For example, recently we have seen a lot good run up in the gold prices and all that. But if you take a long period, 10, 15, 20 years, we can still see that equity index investing itself is much better than all the other assets put together. Now, having said that, there are many real world examples of companies, great businesses which have kind of outperformed the index by far. So, for example, Reliance Industries in the last 10 years has given a compounded return of 21%, which is much better than the index return of 11%. Now, another example, ICICI Bank has given you a return of about 18% in the last 10 years. A company like Dixon, which is sort of a new age company, Dixon has given you a staggering 66% return in the last 5 years, right? A company like Astral has given you a return of 24% in the last 10 years. So, in the previous example, like we mentioned, if you had invested in Reliance, you would have sort of doubled your money in 3.5 years, right? Or in 10 years, you would have made 3x your money, right? So that is basically a real world example of the power of compounding. And the underlying aspect of all of this is that if you're able to identify quality businesses with sufficient tailwinds behind it, managed by able management, quality management, which has got a good runway ahead of them in terms of opportunities, then more often than not you will be able to compound your wealth at a very, very attractive rate, right? Yeah.
So it is often said that compounding is back-ended. Why is it so?
I would like to tell the story of the Chinese bamboo tree here. The Chinese bamboo tree, the farmer who tries to grow a bamboo tree, what happens is that he plants the seed and he keeps on irrigating it, giving it manure and all that. He waits for a substantial amount of time. So year 1, year 2, year 3 passes, nothing happens. So you don't even see a sprout on the surface. So, but what happens is that from the 4th year, sometime in the 4th year, suddenly a sprout comes up. And in a matter of 4 to 6 months, this entire bamboo tree grows to the height of about 80 to 90 feet, right? So that is actually an essence of the back-ended effect of compounding. If you were not perseverant enough, if you didn't know the trait of the Chinese bamboo tree, normal condition, what people will do is they will lose their heart and they would leave, right? But if you are persistent enough, you will be able to sort of enjoy the fruits of your perseverance, right? So that is basically the essence of investing. That is also the essence of compounding. Now, all of you would have heard, all of us in fact would have heard about Warren Buffett and his spoils in the market, right? So Warren Buffett is worth probably $130 billion right now, and that $130 billion is actually inclusive of it's actually exclusive of about $50 billion or so, which he has already given for charity, right? So despite that, he still has a wealth of 130 billion. And the most interesting or astonishing fact is that in the last from the age 50 onwards, in his entire wealth of 130 billion or so, 99% of the wealth is actually built from his age 50. So till 50 he would have earned only 1%, and from 51 onwards he would have earned the balance of 199 billion plus another 50 billion in charity. Or if you see, from age he's probably 94, 95 now. From 85 to 95 he would have sort of made half of his wealth, 50% of his wealth. So that is why we say that compounding is back-ended. So in the analogy of you guys investing $1 lakh and making it 10 lakhs in 10 years, right? That analogy where you invest at 26% and you make 10 lakhs. What you should understand is that by the year 7 you would have made only 6 lakhs or 6.2 lakhs. The bulk of your growth for your 10 lakhs actually happens in the last 3 years, right? So that is precisely why we say that investing is back-ended. The big wealth is created in the year 8, 9, 10 or in the year 19, 20 or whatever.
So I recently read an article about a story. The story goes that a wise man invented the game of chess and presented it to a king. The king was so impressed that he offered the man any reward he desired. The wise man asked for a seemingly modest request, some grain of rice. He said, place 1 grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard, then double it on each subsequent squares, 2 on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, and so on, all the way to the 64th square. The king laughed and agreed. But what he did not realize was the sheer magnitude of exponential growth. By the time you reach the 64th square, the number of grains of rice is more than just quintillion. So that is the power of compounding.
Okay, so is compounding restricted to investing only, or does it bear other things also?
Compounding is basically, you can see the power of compounding across the universe, right? It is not only restricted to investing, it is there in all facets of life. So compounding good habits versus compounding bad habits, it is very accessible to all of us. We can see that. So if you have good quality habits, for example, reading, basic habits of exercise, food habits, good quality of life. So all your good habits that you nurture keeps compounding and makes you a better person. And on the contrary, or vice versa, also is right. So if you have a bad habit, for example smoking, if you have a bad habit like say excessive drinking, alcoholism, all that compounds into major disasters. So that is clearly compounding of good habits in play. Similarly, compounding of health. So the funny thing is that, like we said, compounding is back-ended. There is also we told the story about the Chinese bamboo tree. So which says that the first 4 years you don't even see a sprout outside the ground, right? But similar is the case for exercise or health. So what happens is that you decide to work out in the gym, right? So you decide to work out in the gym. The first 1 month nothing is visible, second month nothing is visible, third month nothing is visible, but everything actually builds up beneath your surface, or actually there is a lot of improvement which is happening, which may not be visible to you on a day-to-day basis, but maybe after 6 months or so it would be visible to others, or somebody who's seeing you after 6 months would come and say that okay, you've made substantial gains. So that is basically compounding of, that is also again a type of compounding. Similarly, when we say compounding of health, it also happens the other way around. So if you have unhealthy practices, that also would be slow to kind of come out, but over a period of time it actually comes out very visibly, right? Part of your health gets deteriorated because of your bad habits, because of your bad health habits. There is also compounding of goodwill, right? The good deeds that you do that also compounds and comes back to us. For example, we in India believe about karma, right? So which is basically good karma. Similarly, compounding of goodwill is also something which is very evident. So I would like to tell a story about a famous investor. His name is Guy Spear, right? So what he did was that he was working in a organization which was like a toxic organization, meaning they were in it only for the money, and he was not at all happy. So he went out. He was trained in Harvard and Oxford and all that, but then he had to start from zero, start from scratch, because he had to move out of an organization on bad terms. Now, what happened is that Guy Spear decided he was like a avid follower of Warren Buffett, and he wanted to live a good life. So what he actually did was that he started sending thank you notes to lot of famous investors. And he did not want anything in return. He was just, once he read some article, he found it good. There was some takeaway for him. So what he did was that he sent a thank you note to this guy. He started sending greetings to these people on festivals and all that, without expecting anything in return. So finally, what happened is that slowly, when people realized that he did not want anything in return and he was doing it for just to appreciate this person, and that pureness of his objective, when it was evident, people started contacting back. So he started building a huge group of friends and well-wishers and investors. So that is an example of power of compounding of goodwill. So how goodwill compounds. Now compounding of knowledge is also there. Now we said compounding of financial assets, or compounding in terms of investing. Now compounding of knowledge also happens. So another story of Warren Buffett. He was giving a lecture in his alma mater, which is basically the Columbia Business School. One student asked him, how did you earn so much knowledge, or how did you get so much wealth? So he showed a stack of papers, which was about 500 papers, and he said that you read so much every week. So that is how knowledge compounds, right? Knowledge also compounds. When you keep reading, you may not even know why are you reading something, or you don't get a tangible benefit from day one. But similar to what we said in compounding, this knowledge also compounds, and then it helps you to sort of it actually benefits in several ways. You will be able to connect multiple dots. You will be able to get new insights. So similarly, knowledge also compounds. So in conclusion, what I would like to say is that when we understand the true power of compounding finally, it is a transformational moment for all of us. All of you are sort of starting your investment journey in a way. So when you understand the power of compounding, you would try to embrace frugality. You would try to live a happy, peaceful, simple life, so that you will be able to compound your goodwill, compound your knowledge, compound your wealth. So that's.
I think most of the people doesn't much appreciate the power of the compounding things. That even if 1% change would be a great deal in the long run. That is actually, it's mind-blowing experiences.
We really hope you enjoyed today's discussion. Stay tuned for another episode of Moat's Knowledge Series. Thank you.